Your talk now, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pravina. Good morning, audience. Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to share certain points which I have gained through all my 20 years of experience as an educator as well as an administrator. We, the teachers, are the building blocks of the society. Yet, there are a lot of factors which are ignored by a lot of people. Recently, last 2 years have been a very, very important as well as tragic for teaching fraternity because of the unexpected turnout of the events like pandemic. Most of the organizations faced a lot of problems, yet it was onus on the teachers to learn to improve themselves and get techno-savvy. But at the same time, they were facing a lot of issues. And not only during that, but after that also, the teachers' fraternity are always having certain problems because of the work which is involved with it. What kind of things are explored by the teachers? Why the teachers are facing issues? Burnout is nothing but stress. But is it the same thing? No. Burnout and stress are two different aspects. Let's understand one by one what is it. Usually it is assumed that now you can just see this. Who says teaching is stressful? Everybody feels that, oh, teacher, it's okay, fine. You have to just go, deliver the lecture, give the notes, and your work is fine. I'm 30 and I feel great. Yes, it causes a lot of effect on the mental health of the teachers. This is something which represents the modern school teacher. Gone are those days when you leave your workplace and your work used to get over. Today's teachers are expected to be techno-savvy. They are expected to be on their toes for upgrading themselves, as well as they are expected to do a lot since the rules for the education have been changing drastically. They are burdened with a lot of expectations from all the paraphernalias of the society as well as all the stakeholders. A lot of burden is put on the teachers for their work. This is what the world sees the teachers doing. A small part of the iceberg. But actually, what is it? Actually, it is far, far, far below the surface. Why? Because we are not supposed to enter the class without preparation. Teachers make more minute by minute decisions than the brain surgeons. That's the reason whenever they are going home, they are feeling exhausted. It requires physical, mental, as well as psychological decision making all the time because you are not working with machines. You are not working with computers or PCs or latest devices. You are working with lives. And each life, each child, whoever is coming to school is coming from a different background. Whatever the setup of school is there, every school will have its own burning issues. At the same time, every child will be coming with a different baggage. So without harming the emotions, without harming any kind of their personal attentions, she has to grab the attention for the subject matter. What is burnout actually is? Or as you can see here, this particular picture is showing us the matchbox or the stick which is shown. We all use this in our day-to-day life. Basically, the teacher burnout is a psychological condition that leads to exhaustion, depersonalization, and decreased teacher achievement and self-worth. This is a classic definition from the Reins. Burnout is a reaction to chronic stress. Yes, that's the reason I said there is a very fine thin line between stress and burnout. When we are not habitual or we are not practicing stress relieving exercises or practices in our day-to-day lives, it gets compounded, and burnout is a compounding effect of day-to-day stress caused from our work-life balance issues. It's a state of emotional, mental, and psychological effect where excessive amount of stress is caused, leading to a person feeling very, very exhausted. Yes, it happens. If we are dealing with smaller grades, middle grades, or senior grades, it doesn't matter because every set of children are facing their own issues. The teachers who are dealing with these things also face a lot of issues because of the things which are surrounded to them. The teachers who are working with senior secondary will have the issues like the attention deficit issues or the students not paying attention in the class because they are too much into their competitive examination stress. Whereas when we are dealing with middle-aged students, the preteen issues, the teenagers issues, as well as in smaller grades, adjustment issues. Lot of issues are to be handled by a person. Isn't it too much? Of course it is. And the sad part is, in the organizations, there are a lot of resources available. There are a lot of things which are available as a part of resource to showcase the whereabouts of the organization. But there are very few schools or organizations which have the mechanisms which can understand or relate with the teacher's issues. Yes, it is true. So let us start one by one why things are happening like that. So as I have experienced as a teacher, we are supposed to be informed. We are supposed to engage the learning group, whatever age group we may be, pre-primary, kindergarten, middle school, senior school, it may be. Then we are supposed to focus on the learning part. Our learning only is important, whatever degrees we may have from the colleges. But when we enter the classroom, our learning has to be delivered in an effective manner. To make this effective learning, we need to have a lot of knowledge related to ICT as well. Then we are supposed to apply the programs. We are supposed to observe our children or the given set of students, their experiences, their insights about their own learnings or previous learnings. After that, we need to share our own experiences as well as whatever lesson plans we have planned for them. Then we do a lot of refining, isn't it? Each batch is different. If we have been doing the same subject again and again, still the subject matter remains the same, but the group of children which are coming to us keep on differentiating. Sometimes we have a very diverse amount of students. Sometimes we have a class full of very noisy children. Sometimes we have a batch which has high performers only. So, or there are certain students who are coming from economically weaker sections. So, a lot of background check also we have to do and define our strategy and the ways with which we will decipher the knowledge, the experiences, and the products. In an education scenario, products are nothing but assessments as well as various kinds of anecdotal records which we are keeping as educators. We need to study that. Our cycle of this particular thing doesn't end. We need to embed all these and transfer the practices to the coming set of teachers or the fellow colleagues or the seniors. Again, we have to revisit our plan. And this professional learning cycle keeps repeating itself. Whether we are working in the same environment or we are changing the organizations, so slight differences can occur. But yes, these all things keep the teachers on their toes, always. Now, isn't it too much? So many things we are doing. Given the set of time, given the set of resources, we are supposed to complete all our duties in our working hours and it doesn't get it over. Every day, we may carry a question with us, a question which will enable us, or which will ponder us, or which will provoke us to think about the activities or the things which we have planned for the lesson and which did not go well. In other occupations, it doesn't happen so, because the time over, the things are over. But here, instead of teaching time, our professional learning cycle depends on lot of analysis, lot of experiences shared by various departmental colleagues as well, so as to deliver the set of children the desired outcomes. So this is a normal brain of a human being. You may feel that why this biology thing is there. Of course, we all are humans, and we know that our brain functions a lot to decode the information which is there. It's not a storage center. This is just a biological aspect of our body. No, it's not like that. Each lobe is having its own function for enabling us to do the things in an effective manner. This is a normal brain. But then, how does a teacher's brain look like? Just see the difference. You may see the screen a little bit hazy. Every part is divided for something. There is a center for workload. Every year, because of the teacher attrition or lot of issues in the organization, number of workload, things keep changing. We have other activities to be planned for the children, special supplies are to be managed for the children, visual thinkings are to be done. We have to create something innovative which will create happiness in the classroom. We have lot of worries which are there. If we are dealing with the board class students, we have our own set of problems. So the teacher's brain gets preoccupied or overoccupied as and when the time is going. That's the reason I have compared these two images. So what can be the cause or causes of this burnout? As I have initially shared, burnout is nothing but a compounding effect of the stress. And stress can come out with various reasons. So I have divided these causes into two factors: the primary factors or the major factors and the secondary factors. What are primary factors look alike? Lack of control over one's destiny. We really don't know where are we supposed to go. Many a times I have observed in all these years, there are a lot of people out of passion, they land up in teaching. They have come in this profession by chance. Most of the time, you all might have heard this statement while you are being interviewed by somebody. Are you a teacher of choice or a chance? It differs from your situations. Some people are forced to take it up. There are some people who choose to be the teachers. So they really do not know what is our destiny actually. Lack of occupational feedback and communication. Occupational feedback means wherever we are working, are we getting a constructive feedback for our work, or we are just unnoticed? And by the end of the day, our supervisors or administrators are just having a blame game, or they are giving a plain strategies. Periodic feedbacks, which will allow each individual where he or she is going wrong. Because see, every day differs. Somewhat maybe we have planned, but then according to the certain circumstances arising in the classroom, we do keep changing the classroom strategies, isn't it? So are we getting a feedback from our seniors, coordinators, supervisors in a proper way? How frequently are they given? Are they given in a bad manner, or they are given in person and in a proper constructive manner, which will help us to grow further? What kind of communication is taking place between the organization with the teacher? Because most of the time, teachers become followers of the policies and the practices of the organizations. Whereas effective communication from the leaders of the organization to all the stakeholders or to all the people in the line can create a good impact, a very, very powerful impact. Are the teachers overloaded? Overload can be one of the biggest stress causing factor in an organization. Teachers' attrition can cause these issues. As a result, the teacher will not be able to balance his work or her work in proper manner or underload. If you have too much of free time, if your teachers are not occupied in a constructive way, that is nothing but your underload as well. Then the another factor is role conflict. As and when we keep growing, we have certain hierarchies to be followed. But then if the organization or the things are not clarified that whose role is what, because you have a coordinator, you have a moderator, you have a head of the department, then you have a vice principal, you have a principal. So many people are there. But then what kind of role are they playing for you? Who is your mentor? Who is supposed to be contacted in the times of various kind of conflicts as well as issues which are arising in the day-to-day classroom interventions? So the ambiguity in the roles or uncertainty about what one is expected to do at work can create a lot of mess. Believe me, this is one of the major factors where the teachers are leaving the organizations. Because when one is not clear about his or her role, how will she function? This is one of the major reasons the person sorts a last resort that is to leave the organization. Individual factors are always there, including financial instability. Yes, during the COVID times, the people were half paid or they were given very less salaries. As and when the time went, the salaries were conducted, there is no proper system of appraisals. So financial instability can cause a lot of damage to a person's morale because ultimately we are learning, we are working for earning. And that is something which is very, very important thing for our family's welfare. Marital problems, excessive shyness, the people are introverts. So if they are not properly taken care of, then they may lose, they may be very capable, they may have a lot of competencies with them, but their shy nature or their fear factor can cause a damage to their self-worth. Inflexibility, yes, this is one of the major problems which can cause the burnouts. Teaching roles, at least in major schools in India, has a very, very rigid schedule. There is no flexibility. When this entire country or all the world is talking about work from home and flexible working hours and all that, we are still the same people. In case of need, there are no organizations or no leaders or very few organizations and leaders who are considering the person's issues and helping them to come out of it by giving flexible working hours. Then training deficits. Yes, if the trainings are given just for the sake of calendar or just as a mandate coming from the governing body, then it is not going to create any impact. Because what are my needs? Where am I lacking? It has to be identified and addressed. So most of the time, the trainings are scheduled in such a way that it is just to show on paper or to showcase to the statutory and regulatory bodies that yes, we are empowering the teachers. But if we have 50 teachers in our hand, each teacher will have a different requirement for her training. Some people are very fast learners. They are intrinsically motivated and having high experience. They are very well versed with their subject knowledge as well as the delivery methods and all other paraphernalia. Yet there are some people who will always require some hand-holding in understanding a lot of things. So when we figure out the training needs, then only we can carry out the proper trainings. The secondary factors include poor working conditions, lack of job security, lifestyle changes, rapidly changing society that forces individuals to make unexpected adjustments in their way of life and work. Yes, these are the secondary factors, which are nothing but the factors which are associated with the preliminary factors which we were discussing up till now. So there is a quick difference between the stress and the burnout, as I was stressing it from the beginning. Stress is characterized by over-engagement, whereas burnout is characterized by disengagement. Yes, over the time, if the stress is not addressed, a person becomes less engaged in the workplace. Given the task, the person is not ready to take the task.
Shubhangi,
Yes,
sorry to interrupt you. We
yeah.
have some questions lined up and we have crossed the 20 minutes
Yeah.
thing. So if you are okay, can I read out those questions to you, ma'am? Or
Yeah, should I stop the sharing now?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So the first question goes like this. How big a problem is teacher burnout in India?
This is a very great problem which I have found out when I was studying about this particular matter for presentation. And I have always seen it. It's a very big issue in India as of now, which is not addressed.
So what are the signs that a teacher is burnt out, ma'am?
There are a lot of signs which says that the teachers are burned out. The first thing is that the teacher is dragging herself or himself to the workplace. You can see their body language, the way they are entering to the workplace, the way when you are called for a particular task, the way they are carrying out, the entire thing can be very well studied when the person is delivering his or her subject in their classrooms. Less energy, less enthusiasm, and disengagement or withdrawal symptoms can be seen.
Okay. So what steps can school management take to help reduce this problem?
There are a lot of things which can be done, ma'am, by the school management for reducing such kind of things. The first and foremost, as I have already shared in the PPT, that there has to be clarity about the roles and the responsibilities of each person. If the teacher is a fresher, the teacher has to be given a mentorship throughout the year, which will enable her or his potential to flourish. What are the areas of interest of that particular person working with that organization can be identified and given the chance. Similarly, when the things are not going in a proper way, addressing them in a constructive feedback or having proper discussions about the things will ease out for their own understanding about their own performance. This is one of the methods which can be done by the administrative people. As far as as well as management people are concerned, they need to see that the teachers also have their own time during the working hours and interactive time with everyone so that the collaboration, cooperation can be fostered, and a kind of sessions which will relieve their stress can be organized on a regular manner.
Right. So you answered this question too, ma'am. But again, like since it's posted here, I'll read out this question. Is teacher burnout increasing in recent years? What are the reasons?
Yes, in the recent years, it has been increasing. For last many years, it has been ignored in our country, specifically not only in our country, throughout the world. If you see the world statistics, you will see that you might have heard the word through the news channels and all about great resignations. It is not only applicable to IT sector as well as multinationals or corporate sector, but it is also applicable to teaching fraternity. The side effects, yeah.
So how do you personally cope with the stress that comes with teaching career?
I personally have my own strategies. Like the first important thing is that I have a habit of keeping a journal in which I find out certain ray of hope, whatever good or whatever small achievement I have done in terms of teaching learning process, in terms of conducting meetings or carrying out certain events. in an organization, whatever things went in a proper way, I can separate them into two different factors. And I always see that this is the area where I need to improve. But yes, these are some of the small milestones which I have achieved as a teacher on day-to-day basis. When I see this, it gives me a lot of pleasure as well as it keeps on boosting my confidence. Secondly, a brisk walk and good listening to the music. And of course, reading is an essential part of my daily routine, which helps me to not only connect with the words and the thoughts of good authors, as well as their perspectives, it also releases my stress.
Yes, ma'am, a hobby really helps in coming out of the stress. So is being bored with the job often a cause of stress too?
Can be, because there are a lot of people who are not so lucky to take it as a backseat. They are the only breadwinners of their families, and they do not have, a lot of freedom to express their things. As a result, they keep on clinging to their occupations. At the same time, the financial freedom is necessary. That is also one of the reasons. So getting bored with the monotonous task is the major reason for this particular burnout.
Okay. So do you think there is enough awareness of this issue in schools today, ma'am?
No, I don't think so. That's the reason that the school managements are facing the issues of teacher attrition.
Right. Second. So do you think trying to constantly motivate students who have low interest in school work an important case of stress?
Yes, it can be, because today's generation has a very low attention span. Secondly, they are over informative students. They have a plethora of information which is there, but at the same time, what is necessary for their age group, what are the skills which are to be gained by them, is not properly addressed. So this creates a lot of pressure on the teachers, because they need to manage even their mood swings. Secondly, the policies are such which have a lot of restrictions over the teachers. Of course, I am strictly against the corporal punishments, but at the same time, too much of student learning things or emphasizing on the emotional listing for students create a lot of pressure on the teacher, because ultimately there are a lot of times where the teachers only are blamed, and it is not considered that it is a two-way process. So both the people get affected by these particular issues.
So how does teacher burnout affect students, ma'am?
The teacher burnout affects in a very, very drastic way to the students. As I said earlier, if the teacher is disengaged, will she be prepared and going to the class? No, she will assume that I know everything. I have done it a lot of times. I'll do the way I want. The more and more you become disengaged from your given task, you start showing withdrawal symptoms. So he or she may not be prepared to take up the whole class properly, unprepared, going to the class, delivering the content in a half-baked manner, or using shortcut methods to deliver the content or the things to the learners can, can be possible. Secondly, he or she may neglect the essential duties to be done by a teacher, like proper corrections or monitoring the students at various points, as well as copy corrections, paper setting, or writing proper reports about certain students. Everything which is actually the responsibility of that person will get affected in the due course of time if he or she is disengaged. As a result, the students will start having a trouble in the teaching learning process. They'll have low informations, or the content may go in a wrong way. As a result, it can create a lot of turbulence in the teaching learning process with that particular teacher, which may result into a lot of issues from the parental side as well.
Thank you, ma'am. That's the end of the question answer round. School
ma'am.
Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions, ma'am. We also thank the audience for participating in the event. It was a very good session and very informative session. I thoroughly enjoyed. Thank you, ma'am. We'll end the
Thank
session.
you all of you. Thank you. Should I leave the meeting?
Yes, please. We'll end the meeting now.